And I'm Dylan. I'm going to be teaching and running the game today.
Perfect.
Perfect. And do you want us to go straight to the table?
Sure, that'll work.
Okay. Everybody is up.
All right.
Give me 1 second to reorder this just so
Totally
I can make it easy to switch back and forth.
Is that your dice tower? Or okay, so it didn't come with the game. It's a pretty nice dice tower.
No, that dice tower is awesome.
Yeah.
And let me put this up here. Okay, we should be good.
All right, so for anyone who is unfamiliar, Wroth is an area control game. Every faction in the game is wildly asymmetric.
Turn that fan down to 1, please.
And there are a total of, I actually forget how many. There are 5 different factions in the base game and 2 expansions. We will be playing with 2 expansions today. So one will be playing one of the expansions called Venna, and Jerry's going to be playing a second expansion called Paldean. So we're going to be fighting over areas on the map. Each one of them is going to be numbered. So you'll see that this is Area 2, and this is going to be the area for Area 2. All of the areas are going to be adjacent to each other if they either share a border, such as 5 and 6 here with this border, or if they share a bridge. So for example, Area 5 is going to be adjacent to Area 7, Area 6, Area 1, and Area 4. Whereas 8 is only adjacent to Area 7, and 4 is only adjacent to Area 5. To do that, we're going to be deploying troops out onto the board. Everybody has 2 different types of troops. They all have basic troops, which are going to be these little hexagon figurines here. Go ahead and go over to the close-up cam real quick.
Just give me 1 second.
Yep,
Our mics are too loud. How is that, guys? Let me know if the mics are better. I can keep messing with them. I'm not sure why everything is so different tonight than it was the first night, but that's what happens. You're good?
Okay. So these guys here are going to be our basic troops. So they're going to have a hexagon bottom, and then they're going to have a unique top based off of our faction. They are also going to be individually colored as well. And then we have our elite troops, which are going to be in the shape and form of dice. However, these are not actually dice. They will not be rolled. They are simply used as counters. This is going to be the unit's vitality, which is just a fancy name for their health. So in this case, this unit has 3 health. When it takes a damage, it will tip down to 2, and so on and so forth. When it reaches 0, it will come off the board and then back to your player mat. That is different from your basic units. Your basic units, when they die, are simply removed from the board and are no longer accessible to you. So they'll just come off to the side of the play area, and they will be dead and out.
So you said these come back, but not the basic ones?
Correct. Okay. Your elite troops will come back to your board. Your basic troops are basically gone forever. My faction, and I think maybe Venna, I forget all of the abilities of all of the characters, are exceptions to the rules. I believe there are 2 factions. I may be incorrect about Venna, but my faction, the Uglin, will resurrect units from the discard pile. So I will be able to gain units back.
Where's the discard pile? Sorry, is that
just off the board?
Okay, then then mine can come back from the discard.
Yep. So this is your basic troops are a limited supply. If you run out of basic troops, you can no longer spawn basic troops onto the board, unless, of course, you have an ability like Juan and myself have. Your elite troops can continually come out on the board. If they get knocked back off, they come back to your player mat, and they'll be able to come back out. So the different areas that we're going to be vying for control are going to have different victory point values. These were randomly assigned at the beginning of the game during our initial setup. There are 3 extra tokens, so each game will be wildly different as well, based off of what areas are going to be worth the most victory points and what tokens are even going to be in the game. You'll notice that some, such as this one here in Area 7, are just going to be worth victory points, whereas some tokens, such as Area 8, are going to be worth victory points and allow you to take an action. We'll go over in detail what all of those tokens mean once we get to explaining the action dice. In this game, we're going to follow a 6-phase step to go through each round. There is no set number of rounds. It is going to be a race for victory points. So it is going to be the first one to 30 victory points is going to trigger the end of the game. And then the round finishes whenever that happens, and whoever has the most victory points at the end of the game will win. So just because you're the one who triggers the end of the game does not mean you're going to be the one who wins it. The very first thing that we would do when we start to go through and take our turns is we would go into phase 1, which is known as the maintenance phase. That is simply going to be passing the first player token clockwise. So this will change hands every single round in clockwise order. The next is we're going to do the spoils phase. In the spoils phase, we're going to look for who has control over each of the territories, and we always resolve this in numerical order. So owning a territory or having control of a territory with a lower number is going to trigger before those with a higher number. During this phase, the spoils phase, all we're going to be doing is resolving the actions that are on each of the tokens. So for example, whoever has control of Area 5 is going to be able to do 1 attack on the game board. I'll explain how that works when we get to the action dice again.
Should we put this close to the number, just so we know? That's for 5, I guess.
Sure. So 4 will trigger before 5, and 5 will trigger before 8. That way, when you make decisions, you'll be able to know what is coming and or what has already occurred. So sometimes there is an advantage to capturing a lower number territory, even if it is not necessarily directly better for your game, just to be able to take that action beforehand. After the spoils phase, we'll go into the groundwork phase. In this phase, everybody is going to deploy 2 of their basic troops out into their deployment zone. The deployment zone is the only zone that I have not talked about on the map so far, and that is basically this entire surrounding area on the board. The board is intended to look like a 3-dimensional island, and this basically this is called the shores. Your deployment zone is called the shores, and this is simply where your basic troops go. We'll primarily be using the space in front of us as our shores, but technically speaking, it is all one area. My units are in the same area as one's. While units are in the shore, 2 things. They cannot be attacked, and they cannot attack. So your units are safe in the shores, and it's basically just a staging area. They are considered to be in play for any abilities that trigger on units that are in play, but they cannot be or perform an attack.
Can you fall back to the shore?
You cannot. So after we've deployed 2 troops to the deployment zone, we're going to roll what is called our all-seeing die. Jerry, if you want to switch me over to the camera here real quick. So there are 2 different dice in the game, and they are the only ones that will actually be rolled. The lighter colored one, so the one that is more silver, that is going to stay on your player mat, that gets rolled during this phase. The darker black ones are going to be your action dice. These are going to be drafted in a later phase. So again, the last step of the groundwork phase, we're all going to roll our all-seeing die, and whatever value it lands on is going to go in your all-seeing die slot on your main player board. And then lastly, everybody is going to gain a Cora, and that is simply the currency of the game. So that's just these little gemstones here. Everybody will be starting with 1 of those Cora to kick us off for the game. Next up, we'll move into the draft phase. In the draft phase, we're going to roll all of these action dice. So we're just going to plop these into the tower to make sure it is fast and fair. And whatever the outcomes are of this roll are going to be what the actions are that are available for this round. Starting with the first player, we're going to go around the table, each drafting a single die from the pool of dice, 1 at a time until everybody has 2 dice. Once that occurs, we're only going to have 1 die remaining. Whoever is in last place during that round is going to get this die as an extra action for that round. You must truthfully be in last place, so if there is a tie, nobody gets this die. So you'll see in the very first round, this extra die will simply stay there.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
All right, so after the draft phase, we're then going to go ahead and go into the actions phase, and that is where in turn order we're simply going to be spending one of our action dice. So, if I had these 2 action dice, for example, so if I had these 2 action dice to be able to spend, that would allow me to, on one turn, gain a Cora with this die, and on another turn, take 1 attack action. We'll go over what each of the dice mean in a second. I just want to let you know that you will be taking 1 action, and in order to take an action, you will be spending an action die. Then play will pass to the next person in clockwise order. They will resolve 1 action, and it will keep going until everybody has either spent all of their dice, taken all the actions they want to, or simply chose to pass. You can choose to spend a single action die and not resolve its action to simply pass and wait it out. So timing strategy there as well. Sometimes it's better to simply not use a die to wait and see what your opponents do, depending on the situation on the board. So now we'll go over what these action dice are going to actually let you do. So the very first die face that we're going to start with is Cora. This is the currency of the game. Once again, this is what a piece of Cora looks like. It is simply a little gem that you will keep in your player area.
You're a little gem.
Thank you. We'll go over what you use these on, but they are the primary and only currency in the game. They're going to allow you to spawn your elite troops and use unique abilities that only your faction has. Next up, we're going to go to, let's see if I can remember the name of this. I'm going to call this Deploy. I actually don't remember if these have names or not.
Oh, I thought they were daggers. It's 2 people.
It is 2 people. So that is representative of 2 of your basic units. What this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to either spawn 2 of your basic units into the deployment zone, or it's going to allow you to move 2 units. It can be 2 basic units, 2 elite units, or 1 basic, 1 elite unit. Move them from one region to an adjacent region. Both units that you choose to move must be from the same region and move to the same region. So that is what this die face is going to allow you to do. It's basically deploy troops or move troops. The 2 red arrows side is a slightly modified version of that. This will not give you the ability to move units, but it will allow you to spawn 2 basic units into a region you already occupy. Occupy is simply having a single unit in a region. It does not matter whether it is an elite or a basic. As long as you exist and have presence in a region, you get to spawn 2 more basic units into that region. And it is entirely your choice.
So the main difference between these, the deploy with the arrows and the deploy with the people are?
Deploy with the people is going to allow you to move, whereas the arrows is going to allow you to basically drop into the map. Normally when you deploy troops, they have to go to the deployment zone first and then out into the map. So the arrows are very good. For example, if you have units out in region 8, which is in the dead center of the board, the arrow is really handy because normally it would take you 1, 2, 3, 4 actions to get to area 8.
Okay.
Whereas with that red die, you can drop 2 units directly out into region 8.
And can that also be the...
It can't.
Elite
We'll get
units?
to
Okay.
how the elites
Okay.
occur. The last die face we have not gone over is attack. Attack is going to be based off of the number of skulls that you see. So in this case, this is 1 attack action. Right here. So with 1 attack action, that is going to allow me to attack with any of my troops, any of my units in any region that I occupy. I can either attack within the same region. So for example, I exist in region 5, so does Juan. I can choose to attack in region 5, or I can choose an adjacent region. So in this case, because we're in 5, I could attack 6, 4, 1, and 7. So Juan has units in 7. If I were to choose to spend this die to do 1 attack action, I would do 1 attack to a basic unit in Area 7, and that would remove this troop from the board. Each of your basic units has 1 health. Each of these attack actions does 1 point of damage. So instead, if I would not have attacked adjacent into Region 7, I could choose to attack in Region 5. Now I've got a choice. I can either attack Juan's basic unit, or I can attack his elite unit. Again, if we do his basic unit, it has 1 health. It immediately dies and gets removed from the board. If I instead chose, as the attacker, to attack his elite unit, it would simply tick down 1 point in health.
What would be the advantage of attacking the elite over the...
It's mostly going to come down to their abilities. Some of the abilities are also going to dictate whether they can be attacked or not. So for example, Juan's Cauldrons. Please correct me if I get this wrong here in a second, Juan. The Cauldrons must be attacked last. So if Juan has 3 units in Region 5, such as this example, I, as the attacker, could not choose to attack Juan's Cauldron until I kill these other 2 units.
Yeah.
That can be
Oops,
really
sorry.
annoying. When you're
It
sitting
can
here,
be.
you're thinking, oh, I could take that out. And then Juan's like, no, you can't, buddy. You got to do all this first.
Yep. So I will ask players, since this is some of our first times, please be truthful and honest about your abilities. That is also what the reference sheets are for, is to help you kind of know going into an attack whether you want to actually target that or can target that.
I will consider it.
Some units will have the inverse of that as well. So this one is attacks must be attacked last, whereas I believe Jerry's shields, the Iron Wills, are going to require you to attack them first.
Yeah.
So if Jerry also had presence in Region 5, I could choose to attack either Juan or Jerry. That is entirely my choice. If I choose Juan, I choose between these 2 units, because this one has to be attacked last if I choose to attack Juan. If I choose to attack Jerry, between these 2 units, I'm forced to attack this one because of the 2 units that Jerry has out there. This one has the requirement that is attacked first.
Nice.
So you first choose the player that you're attacking, then you choose the unit, provided you have that option.
I have a question. Do all
Absolutely.
units deal 1 damage unless specified
Correct.
otherwise? Okay.
Yep. Some of them will have modifiers that one is alluding to. Typically, it is based off of the number of units that you either control or have presence within a particular area that is being dealt damage. Again, the factions are all wildly asymmetrical, so it will be a little bit confusing on our first play, just to kind of get a feel for what everybody can do. But yeah, so that's, again, going over all of the action dice. So now that we've gone over, I should also point out, sorry, the action dice are all the same. So there are, I believe, 9 that we will be playing with each round. Yes, 9 that we'll be playing with each round. The odds are exactly the same. The dice sides are exactly the same on all 9 dice.
Is it 1 face of every kind?
There are 2 of each, I believe. No, okay, so there are 2 attack, 2 of the move or deploy, 1 of the Cora, and 1 of the, basically, I'm going to call it hot drop clock. That works. You didn't think about that.
Then people can see that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So we went over the action dice. Let's go over your all-seeing die. This has a lot of the same similar spots on it. So you've got gain 1 Cora. Again, get a money, get 1 of the currency. The 2x is a very nice one. You're going to usually spend this all-seeing die alongside another die. So you will choose one of your action dice to use that round, and then you'll tack your all-seeing die on along with it as a bonus. So for example, if I had the attack and the Cora, I could choose to gain a Cora, then attack, or attack, then gain a Cora. I would be doing both on my turn if I choose to spend my all-seeing die.
Just for clarity,
Yes.
is there ever a time you can use this without having an action die?
You cannot. In order to take your turn, you must have an action die.
Does that
You
mean
can't use this unless you have a die to attach.
if you
it
run
to.
out of dice before you use this, you forfeit
just
your
forfeit
dice?
That's
the all-seeing die.
Oh,
There you go.
Correct.
Don't want to do that. Yeah.
Oh.
There are lots of ways to use the all-seeing die, so odds are you're not going to make that mistake. The 2x side is going to be real simple. You're going to do the action that you spent the action die of a second's time.
Nice.
They are truly unique, different actions, so any timing, any resolutions of abilities, they are considered to be two separate things. So in this case, this would be two separate attacks. So I could choose a different target with each one, or even a different region that I'm attacking from. Our next die face on the all-seeing die is this little sniper symbol. This basically does 1 point of damage to any unit on the board. This is, again, your choice. The same rules apply for targeting, however. So again, one's cauldrons must be attacked last. If I'm attacking one in a particular region, I cannot attack his cauldron with this die either, unless it is the last unit in that particular region that it occupies of one's control. The neat thing about this particular symbol is that that is anywhere on the map, whether you have adjacency or whether you exist.
Right.
So I could only exist over here on region 4 in one corner of the map, and I could attack something in region 2 if I feel like it's beneficial for the game.
Or just sniper rifles.
So then the last side that we have on the all-seeing
Double
die
attack.
is the double attack. This is one attack, but it is two separate points of damage, basically. So they will be applied to the same faction, but it will be two different units.
So if I do a double attack here, am I doing 4 damage? Because I do 2 and then 2 for the second phase. Is that how that works?
This 2 damage only exists on the all-seeing die, so you'll never have the X2 on that.
No. What I'm saying is, because you're saying it's 2 separate attack actions, right?
Yes.
So if I can use them both.
You don't attack based off of the number of units that you have in a region. You simply do 2 points of damage.
Oh, so it doesn't.
Same with this one. This is only 1 point of damage. It does not
Oh,
matter
then
how many units you have.
I misunderstood
Units
that.
are attacking.
I thought you do
The
as much
dice are
damage as
attacking.
units as you have.
You do
there.
not.
Gotcha.
Nope.
That's good.
It is a
Good
single
that-
point of
I
damage.
misunderstood.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
And that's even if you have less than 2, you can still do 2.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yep. You just have presence and your units
Okay.
are
Yep.
attacking is basically
Sure.
how that works
Perfect.
for
Yep, that's
X
how it
points of
Elites
damage.
are okay. So if you only do 1 damage, the elites are very good at holding ground.
They can be. Yep.
Okay.
However, you'll see that there will be a lot of table talk and a lot
They're at least
of
better than
forming
these.
alliances.
Right.
They are certainly better than your basic
Just
troops.
based off the fact they come back as well.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
So now we're going to go over the elites and the faction abilities very briefly. I'm not going to go over every single person's abilities for every one of their units. We'll get to that as we start deploying them, as we start playing the game. On your faction map, you're going to have 3 different sections on your board. I should probably actually move this over here.
Yep. Moving over.
Perfect. Okay. So you'll see 3 separate sections. My board is a little bit different than most. I have 2 sets of elite dice, or it's elite units, and then I have 1 faction ability. These are all going to cost Cora.
like that
So
guy.
in the upper left-hand corner of each of the different
cool.
boxes is going to tell you how much Cora you need to spend on your turn to deploy that type of unit
Oh, I see.
or to resolve that action. If you have dice there, that is an elite unit. If you do not have dice, such as my Parasite over here on the right-hand side, that is simply an ability. No unit is going to get spawned onto the board unless the description explains it down at the bottom. Each unit has multiple different characteristics. Again, the number on the unit is going to be its current vitality. This image here shows you what the maximum vitality is of that unit. If, for whatever reason, you are able to heal your units, that is the maximum number they will be able to go to. There is also no number printed higher on that die than the value that is shown there. Some of them are going to be worth victory points. So for example, my Karn, which again are these guys here, these guys are worth 2 victory points any region that I control that these also exist in.
Okay.
With that said, If I have multiple of the same unit in the same region that I control, I do not earn this victory point multiple times. So at maximum, in a region that a Karn exists, I will get 2 additional victory points, provided I control that area.
And that's at the end of each round?
Correct. So
Okay.
just going back to our phases, that specifically is going to be in phase 6,
Okay.
which will be
per
where we
area
score
you
victory
control.
points. Correct.
With one of those in there.
So
So you can get more than 2 per round,
Correct.
but not out
they
of the same
effectively
area.
must be in 2 different areas.
so
Yeah.
see, so that avoids people just clumping up.
Yes, it avoids you from basically just spawning a bunch of units into one area. It really forces you to try to spread out to get as many victory points as you can.
Gotcha.
And then the last piece of the elite troops is going to be what their unique ability is. So each elite unit in the game has its own unique and wildly asymmetric ability. So for example, my Karn at the bottom here says, may deploy to an opposing controlled region. Normally, these guys would be deployed exactly like your basic troops. They go out to your deployment zone first, then they move out to a different region. My Karn's special ability is that when I spawn them directly into a region that an opponent controls.
Wow.
So that gets me out onto the board into tricky areas quicker.
Absolute creatures.
So each of the units and abilities are going to be different, and then the same thing goes for any factions that have abilities. I am the only one at our current table that has a unique ability instead of a 3rd elite unit, and mine is basically my resurrection ability. It's going to allow me to get my discarded units back onto my player mat and thus onto the board. That's basically going to allow me to kill a unit and resurrect it as my own. All 3 of these, whether they are spawning an elite troop or they are just an ability, are going to be a free action on your turn. They can be done at any time during your turn, so before you take your main action die, after you've spent your all-seeing die, whatever order you want to do those things in. These are free actions, and you can do them as many times as you can afford. So provided you have Korra, you can spawn as many elite troops in a single turn as you can afford.
Regardless if you have a spawn die.
Correct.
Okay.
These are entirely their own thing.
But they have a cost. If you use the spawn die,
Correct.
they're free.
No, you cannot spawn an elite troop with an action die. You
Oh.
must pay Korra. You
I also
must do it as a
misunderstood that.
free action.
And you can put it in anything that you control.
No.
No, okay.
Those go to your deployment zones just like your basic troops first,
Okay.
and then they'll be able to move to adjacent regions.
Okay.
So in terms of the map, that I'm a little confused. So essentially, the deployment zone you said is this entire outer region.
Correct.
The deployment zones are only connected to 5 and 6, correct?
Unfortunately, well, fortunately or unfortunately, no. It is adjacent to everything except 7 and 8. So even though my units spawn
Right.
over here, and that's
They-
just because it's in front of me, I can immediately then move them into Region 2 or Region 1.
Perfect. Okay, that's what I wanted to see because it looked like there was a bridge here, so I was wondering if you
There
have to get
is a
onto
bridge, but technically, I'm not sure how it works, whether they have bridges built here or what. I guess there's a dock over on this one, but yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like Carcassonne where they have the bridges, and if you can go under them.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So everybody's deployment zone is adjacent to all regions except 7 and 8.
Beautiful.
All right. Let's see.
And then these cards, right?
Yes, correct. There's something else here.
So just to make sure, going back really quick to the step called spoils. So does that mean that during the spoils, I can do an attack?
Yes.
If I have this?
If you control that region, and that's
Okay.
actually a good segue. Control is simply having more of your units in a region than anybody else. So in this region, Region 5, I currently have control over it, whereas Juan simply occupies this region. If Juan was not here at all, and I was the only one in this, I would have dominance in this region. What that means is during the victory points phase, in addition to this 1 victory point that Region 5 is worth during this game, I would get a bonus point for having dominance. So
Only 1?
kicking people out of that region that you occupy is also good.
It's only 1, right?
It is 1 additional victory point, correct. And then, yes, coming back to your original question, Juan, during the spoils phase, all we are going to be resolving are the actions in the regions, and it is going to whoever has control, and
So
it
you
is
would
done
do it.
in number order, so that way, if dominance changes as well, then who gets that?
Interesting. Okay.
I have a question. Can
Absolutely.
you show me, give me one of those die and I
Yes,
can write? Yeah,
absolutely.
so that die actually right there.
Perfect.
It says to play up to 2 troops or instead move 2 troops.
Yes.
Since there's 2 of them on there, can you move one twice?
No,
Okay, so you can.
it is.
It's not
question.
2 total moves.
That's a good
but
question.
It is correct. It is
Okay.
up to 2 units
Adjacent.
from
One move,
a
okay.
single region to a single region.
Okay.
And actually, that's a good segue into another thing that we haven't gotten to yet.
The Exodus.
So, remember that I said you're going to typically...
Exodus. Don't sleep on Exodus.
This is my favorite
This is
ability
a
in the
good.
game.
This is a good move.
Remember that I said you're typically going to spend your all-seeing die with another die. That is true even in the Exodus action. You can choose to either spend 2 action dice, and instead of taking their actions, do what's known as the Exodus. So you would not deploy or move 2 units, and you would not attack. You would instead say, I'm spending these 2 to perform the Exodus action. Or you can spend one of your action dice and your all-seeing die, again, completely ignoring their face.
And most of the time you'd want to do that because otherwise you'd lose the ability.
Correct.
Unless
Yes.
you have that 3rd die, and then you might not, yeah.
Correct. It is usually more efficient to do one of your action die and the all-seeing die, but it all depends on what you are trying to accomplish in that particular turn.
Because the Exodus gives you a lot of movement. You
Yes.
can show
Yeah.
up everywhere.
Right.
So what the Exodus action is once you've done that, you spent 2 dice and ignored their actions, you're going to be able to take any number of troops from a single region and go out into as many regions as you would like to. Normally units must move together, but in this case, in an Exodus action, I can spread myself out and cover a lot of ground. That's good for a number of reasons. Most commonly, it is coming from your deployment zone and getting out onto the map, both in the beginning of the game and toward the end for quick flips on points. But also, if somebody starts building up into the Region 7 or Region 8 in the center of the board, you may want to watch out because they might be planning an exodus into 5 and 6 to try and overwhelm you and take over quickly. Exodus is very powerful and needs to be used at the
Effectively.
right time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm sold. This is.
It is fast. We'll play a 4-player game of this. We'll play a 4-player area control, area majority game in an hour.
Yep.
Okay.
Fantastic.
You're going to see how fast it goes.
You've played this one before, Gary?
I've played it twice.
Wow.
I loved both plays.
Each play does seem to be wildly different. One, because of how wildly different the asymmetric factions are, and also just everybody's playstyle is different as well.
And these things
Oh,
can
yes, I should probably
change.
go over that before I move this.
Like change how you play these characters entirely.
So now that everybody has a feel for how the game is going to function, everybody has 3 cards specific and unique to their faction. 2 of the cards are going to have a once per game. I'm going to come over to close up real quick. 2 of the cards in your options are going to have a once per game effect. These are wildly strong abilities that are used once per game, just like the namesake implies. You choose when this triggers. It must be on your own turn. It is a free action, so it does not consume your turn. And they will all feel very broken, but it is because it is very... you really want to spend it at the exact right time. But you're going to see the entire game change when somebody uses them. For example, you're going to get 1 Korra every single round. Or I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a different faction than the one I'm playing with right now. You're going to see basic units getting out onto the board very slowly. My particular basic units are called the Horde. And as you can see on this card here, once per game, I'll choose to flip this card, and I can gather 10 Horde from my player board, I believe from my discard. I will have to check the FAQ on that as well. But basically, I'm going to gather up 10 of my units and spit them out on the board. Normally that's going to take me 4 or 5 turns to do. This is in 1 turn I'm going to do this in addition to the action that I spend on my die.
So this is a separate action.
Correct.
This is a free action.
It is a free action that you can choose to play on your turn. The third and final card that you have an option of choosing is your persistent ability. It's slightly less powerful, slightly less game-breaking than all of the one-time use cards, but it's a persistent ongoing benefit that's going to help you out throughout the game. Each one has its own unique twist that plays right into the role of how that particular character plays or that faction plays, but it's going to be slightly less powerful than those once per game abilities. So, everybody go ahead and look at those 3 cards available to you. You will be choosing one of them.
And we keep it in secret, right?
You do not.
That's what I meant. We do not keep it in secret.
Correct. So you will show it, but if you're worried about somebody making a strategic play off of you, it is technically remained hidden until everybody has chosen a single card for them to use for that
That's
game.
what I meant.
You are 50% of the way there.
I remember there was something about being quiet
Very close.
or secret.
Okay.
And then before we get started as well, does anybody have any last minute questions? Obviously,
think
feel
so.
free to ask them in the moment. I just want to make sure that there's nothing somebody still feels uncomfortable with
Yeah,
first.
I'm sure that during the game I will have questions.
No
But
worries.
Oh
at this
yeah,
point,
I'll ask a
There are-
that we're playing.
Because of how asymmetric this is, there are some really weird edge case scenarios that we may get to. While the rulebook doesn't necessarily explain all of them, on their website they have a massive FAQ, and the community asks them questions in their Discord, at which point when enough people have done that, they post it on their website. So most times, in most situations we've wound ourselves up in with a question, we are able to find it on their website.